Well, hello everyone. My name is Dawn Duvall. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And today is August, oh my gosh, I think it's the 3rd of 2023. And I wanted to take a moment and do a quick video to show you one of our kits. During the month of August, Stampin' Up! Is running a sale of the majority of our kits, with the exception of a few, are on sale up to 30% off. And I wanted to take the time and show you one of the kits, which is our Forever Friends kit, and show you what the cards are supposed to look like. And then I'm going to show you 4 different alternative cards that you can do using this kit, which will help you increase the number of cards that you would receive. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to flip the camera down and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you what's in the kit. So let me go ahead and flip my camera over to the next screen. Okay, so the Friends Forever kit, can't speak, is designed to make 8 cards, and this is what the cards are supposed to look like. You've got 4 card bases that are a dark green, like an old olive, with this shiny on lines and stuff on the front. They've got coordinating envelopes, and then the second 4 are a real pale yellow card base that's got some little polka dots, and then these cards are already in the kit, but you're going to stamp over them to make the flowers with our Night of Navy. So you're going to add the color of that as well as the colors of these little tiny flowers right there. And then the twine comes in the kit as well. You'll also get a package of strips of dimensionals. You're going to receive 1 roll, which I have 2 here, but you'll receive a roll of Calypso Coral, and then you're also going to receive a ink spot of Night of Navy, and this is just a smaller version. I'm going to be working with the large one. It's just easier for me when I'm doing demonstrations. You will receive a clear block, and once you purchase a kit, well, if you purchase an all-inclusive kit, you're going to always get another block. So this is I think it's a D block, and it's pretty standard for most of the stamps that you're going to be using. Any of the stamps within the kits are going to fit this block. And then this is the stamp set that comes, let me put this on the back of here. This is the stamp set that comes in your kit. So it's got flowers, some leaves, some little tiny flowers, and then you've got 5 different sentiments. Some are kind of like a print, and then the other ones are more of a cursive. So we're going to take these contents and make some alternative cards. So that's what they're supposed to look like. Okay, and we're going to move this over off to the side. Now this is what the kit comes with. It comes with cards pre-printed like this, and these as well. Okay, and then you also have some white strips here for your sentiments, and then these strips are for decorations. And then it comes with, and when I mentioned about the color of the cards, you'll have 4 of each. This is a really soft pale yellow with dots on the front. And then this is the other set with the lines, and the insides are all white, so you don't need to worry about adding a piece to that. And then of course it comes with your coordinating envelopes, and we're going to use some of these envelopes. We're going to destruct one of those as well. So that's the kits that come into the contents that come in the kit, and I'm going to show you now what we're going to do by making some alternative cards using these supplies. All right, so give me just a second. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm going to start out with one that's going to be very simple. So now I'm going to be using some Night of Navy, which is the coordinating color that goes with the ink. So we're going to be using Night of Navy inks cardstock, and this is cut at 8.5 by 5.5, and this is one of those cards that came in the card. Now we can stamp this flower if you like with the Night of Navy, and here is the stamp, so we can outline that, and I think we'll do that. I didn't do it on this one, but let's do it on this one. Let me get it lined up. So you'll look at your stamp and just find where the petals line up, and you just kind of sometimes need to turn it just a little bit. And I think this right here, nope, that's not going to work. So you have to just take a minute and play with it, and once you get it, that's not going to work either, is it? Hang on a minute. All right, so this one's got the 2, so that's going to go just like that. So see the 2 lines? You probably can't see them. 2 lines there and 2 lines inside the leaf, and they're going to the right. And you'll see it's going to coordinate with this one, and this one has 3 and that has 3. So that's going to work. So that's going to go just like that. So we'll go ahead and stamp those. And then we're going to just make, this is a very simple card, and then we're going to use some of our embellishments, which are the 2023 and to 25 color dots. So we'll use some of those to add some coordination as well. All right, so let's ink up our stamp, our flower, and then we're going to take this, and again, we're going to make sure that we have got our image lined up with our stamp, with our image on the cardstock. And I'm just going to hover over for just a minute, and hopefully got it straight, and we're just going to push down like that, and then we've added a little color. And if you go off a little bit, it's fine. No one's going to notice the difference. All right, now this one, we're going to turn it, because you'll see that this one here looks like it's going to fit this one. All right, so again, we're going to hover, and I'm going to come down. Got to hover a little bit more. Hang on a second. All right, so we're going to come down. I don't get too concerned about this, because if it's off a little bit, no one's really going to be paying attention. All right, there you go. And there's that one as well. All right, so then we're going to take and fold our cardstock. And again, this is 4.5 by 5.5. I'm sorry, 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4, which is in half. So you can score it using your paper trimmer that we have, which has a scoring tool, or you can fold it in half, just like what I'm doing. Sometimes I use my paper trimmer to score it, and sometimes I don't. And then use your bone folder to give it a nice crease on both sides of your card. All right, and then with that, we're going to take and we're going to stamp our sentiment on here before we add our dimensionals. So let's get that. I thought I had a piece of white in here. Hang on a second. Let me see what I did with him. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Nope, I don't. Okay, that's all right. So we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment, and I'm going to use Nobody Gets Me Like You Do. So we'll go ahead and ink this up. And if you're wondering why, I always put my stamps on crooked, because it forces me to look to make sure they're straight. And then I'm just going to stamp it right here in the bottom right hand corner. All right, and then I'm going to set this out of the way. We're going to keep using that glue, so I'm not going to put it up. Now I'm going to just take some of these strips of dimensionals, and we're going to add these to our card. So we'll just put one long strip on each side, and then we'll cut the other ones for the top and the bottom. We'll just cut those down in half, or tear it. You can tear it probably, but I'll just cut it. And that will pop it up and give us some dimension. So we'll lay this one here, and we'll put this one down here. Okay, so we're just going to pop these up. This is a very easy card that we're making right now. I just wanted to start out showing you some easy steps, and then we'll get a little bit more advanced. I'm going to show you 4 different cards, but right now you can get this kit on sale. So you can go to my shopping store. It's bit.ly, bit.ly, and then /3KU, and then you'll be a capital H, capital T, capital A, capital G, and that will take you right to my stamping store, and it will be listed in the comment section, or right below the video. Okay, so we're going to put that in the center of our card, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to add some embellishments. So since we've got some gold on here, we'll just use some of the gold, or yellow if you will, and I'm just going to place 3. They always say you should do your embellishments in 3. So I'm going to take and put I'll put a large one up here. I'll do it a little bit different, and then I'll take a medium one, and we'll place that I'll place that right about here, and then we'll place a little one, the little baby one, and you can use your take your pick tool, which is what I should be using. And then we'll take a piece of cardstock. It's basic white. It's 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to put that right on the inside. And then what we can also do is take our stamp, our flower, and we'll stamp that in the bottom right hand corner just to decorate the inside of our card. And then you can also stamp your envelope if you decide you want to do that. And I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue to attach this to the inside of the card. so I can write my message when I get ready to send this out. All right, so this will be our first card. So let's get that in here. And this is really a nice kit. All right, so there's our first alternative card. All right, so we're going to set these off to the side, and we'll move this one over here. Now the next one, we're going to do a little bit different here. We're going to deconstruct this one. All right, so this is what we're going to do here. Now I've taken these panels, this right here, which is a larger, well, it's this size actually, and we're going to lay that on there. And see how I stamped? So we'll stamp the this outline of the flowers. We're going to tie some of our twine and attach a thing. Now this is where we're going to cut off our envelope. So we're going to bring in our paper trimmer. So I'm going to set this off to the side so that you can partially see the card. And let me move that. So let's bring in the paper trimmer, and we're going to cut the envelope, and we're going to cut right along the line right here where this is, right there, right on the edge of the green. So we want that as part. So we're just going to line this up in our paper trimmer, and it should be pretty close. So we're going to cut that off. All right. Now what I'm going to do, and you can see we've got little tabs here. So we're just going to trim those with our paper snips. We'll just trim them off, no big deal. Snip them, and this will be snipped. And then we're going to take, let me move this out of the way. And then we're going to take our envelope, and we are going to open this up. Actually, I'm going to trim off, I think that's what I'll do. I'm just going to trim off enough to where it's going to open. So see how I'll use my paper snips. See how, here's my track, and then it goes like this at an angle. So I'm going to move it over just enough where I can get this to cut, and I think that's good. And then we're going to open this up, and then we'll use part of that for our next card. And let me get this off because I didn't push it down hard enough with my paper trimmer. All right, and then we'll do the same thing on this side. We just want enough that we can get past that cut. All right, so there we have that. And then we're going to take this, and we're going to, and you don't want to throw anything away because you'll be able to use it, right? So I'm going to cut right here where the score line is. So we're going to use almost all of our supplies in a different way. All right, so I can see my score line, so I'm going to go ahead and cut there. And then this we can use for one of the insides of our cards, and I'm going to trim that up in just a minute. And then you can just come back with your paper trimmer or your snips. I'm just going to use my snips on this one. I'm going to cut this off right here, and the same with this one. And this is going to go on the inside of our card. And this you can take this off if you want. I'm going to leave it. It doesn't bother me. Okay, so that's going to go on the inside of our card. All right, and then this one we'll use for an inside if needed. Okay, so again, we're going to come in with our Night of Navy cardstock. And again, these are all the same size, 8.5 by 5.5. So half, I've already got this scored. So again, we'll score this at 4 1/4, which I already did. So there's my crease. So I'm going to fold my cardstock over, and I want to make sure, and it's kind of hard when you're using the darker cardstock, but I want to make sure it's lined up even on both sides. Sometimes you might need to manipulate it just a little bit, and then again, use your bone folder and do a nice crisp crease, okay? And we're gonna start out with, let me move this over here. We're gonna start out with this being in the front of my card. So I'm going to come in with this, and I'm actually going to trim this off just a little bit to make it even. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is our flap of our envelope. Now I need to cut this down just a little bit. So we'll bring the paper trimmer in, and I'm just going to cut it down to I'm going to probably do a little bit here on each side because I'm going to get my cutter up there. I want to get it even. All right, so we're going to make that more of a square, and we'll do the same thing on this one. So we just want to bring it over just enough where we can get in there and cut that so it has more of a straight line, but it's still rounded at the top. Okay, all right, so there's that. All right, so now we're going to take and we're just going to apply this right here. Okay, So we're going to, now this one, I'm not going to pop it up. I'm just going to use my adhesive because we're going to pop this part of the card up. All right. So let's go ahead and add our adhesive here. Actually, you could lick that or wet it with a water painter, and you'd already have glue right there. So there you go. All right. So we're going to place this right near the edge and get it centered. All right. And now this card, this one we're going to stamp our images again. I'm going to bring in a scrap paper of grid paper, so if I stamp off, I don't get it all over my thing and it looks messy. All right, so let's take our stamp and we're going to ink it up again with our Night of Navy. And again, I'm going to line up my stamp to make sure that I am in the right. Let's see, this one is 3. All right, give me 1 minute because I've got, that one's 3, this one. So it might go like, yeah, I think it's going to go just like this because I can see my 2 here, well 3 there, and I've got 3 here, 2 little ones, and so on. So I think that should go fine. I'm going to stand up so that I can hover, and let's make sure you got to do a little twisty and get it close to where you think you're close enough, and we'll pop it down. I can see it, I'm off a little bit over here, but that's okay. All right, and then we're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to match this up, make sure that works, and let me take a piece, hold on a second. We're going to cover this so we don't get ink on part of the card that we don't want. And we'll do, let's see, we want these. This one has the 3. I'm trying to find the right ones. I know. Let's see, I think it's this one. All right, and that's going to go right about there. So we're going to hover on that and stamp that down. Okay. And then the last one is this little leaf right here. And you don't need to stamp him if you don't want to, but we'll just place that on here. And we'll find that little stamp that's got the 2 that are kind of next to each other, which is probably this one. And we'll stamp that right there. Okay? All right, so there's that one. Let's move our ink out of the way. Okay, so now we're going to take and we're going to add our strips again to this guy. So let's go ahead and bring 2 more in, and we'll just cut them because these are going to be a lot longer than what we need. So we'll put these on both sides, and I'll trim off the bottom, or you can tear them. I just find it easier to trim them. And then I'm going to use these because why waste them, right? So we'll just put some down here. Okay. And then I'll come back in with another strip, and we'll place one right here. And this might be overkill. You probably could get away with just using the 2 side ones, but you know, why not? We'll just do it. And we'll just trim that one off, and we'll keep him to use for something later. All right, so we're going to now bring this guy in. And we're going to go ahead and pop it up on here. So I'm going to pull off all of my paper. See, this is really, you can make a lot of cards. When you start doing using the materials and thinking outside the box, then you can come up and be very creative and make multiple cards. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to place this probably right about there. Okay, so we'll place that there. And then I'm going to come in with my ribbon, and I'm going to tie a bow, and I'm going to make a larger bow because we want it to go underneath our sentiment. So what I'm going to do, and you tie your bows, whatever, so I just kind of start out this way and make them, and then I make them a little bit larger and just keep pulling until I get them to the right size that I want. So we'll just pull this together. Well, if I can get to the string, right? All right, so I'm going to pull that in some, pull this in. Let's see how we look. Pull this one in a little bit more. And I think by the time we do that, let's make it a little bit bigger. And let's get this one bigger. I think that'll be fine. So let's cut that off right there. Pull this one in just a tad. Hold your center knot, if you will, when you're pulling. That will tighten it up, okay? All right, now we're going to take our banner and we're going to stamp our sentiment. And this one we're going to stamp Forever Friends. And let me find that one. And it must be this one right here. So again, we're going to ink it up. We're going to use one of the banners that they supply in our kit. So we'll stamp that right about there. All right, don't you love that? I love this font. All right, and we're going to pop this up as well. Now we're also going to, I forgot that it does come with the kit. If I'm not mistaken, it comes with glue dots, and I forgot to show you those because I think I used them all up when I was making this. So I'm just going to use one of my glue dots. So I am going to place my bow. Let me get that over here. I'm going to get my bow the way I want it to look. And I'm going to place that probably right about here. And I'm just going to put a little glue dot right there just to hold it in place, right where the knot is. And then I'm going to take our sentiment and I'm going to add another piece of the strip. So we'll just tear that one off. And we're going to pop this one up. Okay, and then we'll attach this to the front of our card. And we're going to be Forever Friends. So I'm going to place that right there. All right, so that's going to go right there. Whoops, let me make sure. That looks a little crooked. Hang on a minute. Let me move it up. Okay, and we can add an embellishment if we'd like. So let's take a small, let's see, what colors do we have? Let's take a small, let's take a little small blue one. And we'll just add a little blue one right up here in the corner. We'll put one there, and let's do, and we'll take let's do a medium size one, and we'll just place one. Let's just put one over here, and then we'll put another. I'm going to just do the same size, and I'm going to put that one right there. All right, so there's our other second alternative card. Isn't that easy? And it's very cute, okay? And then the last thing is we're going to take that envelope that we cut off, right? So we're going to take this piece, and I'm actually going to bring my trimmer in. Let me just see if I can get this off. Yeah, we got a little fuzzies on it, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to, let's stamp a flower on here, and then we're going to place this inside our card. So the inside, so you can write your sentiment. So we want to keep everything all dressed up, and then we'll just add our adhesive to the back. And as soon as I can get my there we go. Start getting my adhesive, it comes out. When it sits for a few minutes, it takes a little time to get it going. I have one on my desk that I use, but this one sits over here unless I'm doing a live video or something, or doing a recording. All right, so let's get some adhesive here. There we go. All right, and then we'll just place that on the inside of the card. So now we've used up our envelope and the top of it, and then this will be the piece that we're going to put in here. And let's see, I didn't cut that off very well, so let me just trim this real quick. Just the little piece from underneath. All right, and then there is the inside of the card, so you'll have a place to write your message. So there you go. There's our second card, our alternative card. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we'll set that off to the side. Now we'll bring in a different one. So what are the card bases in this set? They come two, right? They have the green one that we showed, that we worked with just now, and then they have this really nice yellow with some polka dots on the front of the card. So what we're going to do, we're going to dissect this as well. So let me bring in the paper trimmer. Now we're going to cut this off, and we're going to use this on our card, not this card, but we'll use it on our next card. So I'm going to lay this in the paper trimmer at 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut this down. All right, and we're going to set that off to the side because we're going to use that for our next card. All right, now this one we're going to take, and this is 4 1/4, right? So we want to cut this in half, which is going to be 2 1/8. So we're going to mark it right there. Didn't know you're going to have to know math here and doing crafting, did you? You sure do. All right, so we're going to cut it at 2 1/8. So that's, oops, sorry. That's going to give us one that we're going to use on this card, and then one that we'll have to use to make another card. So I'm going to set that off to the side. So this goes with our card base right here. And then we are going to, oh, I forgot, before we go further, we're going to take our card base, which we're going to fold. Again, we're going to fold it at 4, score it at 4 and 4 1/4. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. All right, so we're going to take our, let me get my notes because I wrote down what my measurements are. Now I can't find them. Hang on. There they are. All right, so this one we are going to cut down to 7 1/2. All right, so this is 8 1/2, so we're going to cut we're going to cut down to 7 1/2 here. Okay, so we're going to, oops, yeah, that'll work. We'll cut 7 1/2. So cut that off, and you're going to keep this because we're going to use this. All right, so now we're going to fold our cardstock again, and we'll give it a good crease with our bone folder in just a moment. This piece we want to keep because we're going to use that. This one we've already cut, so that's going to go in this pile right here. Now we're going to cut this envelope, and we are going to cut, let me think of how I'm doing this here. Let's see, we're going to cut this off. Oh, let's see, half the dotted, yeah, I got that. Cut the, All right, so this one, all right, so we're going to cut off this here. So again, we're going to cut this in the middle at where it's scored. And then we're going to take, and we're going to cut 1 3/8. No, wait a minute, hang on, let me look at this. Yeah, no, let's see, what do we have here? Yes, 1 3/8. Hang on a minute, let me check my measurements. Hold on a minute, because see, this one's going to open. I didn't show you the card. This is the card we're going to, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? So this is the card. So we cut that strip off, right? So we're going to use that strip for something else. And then there's the inside. So we're going to take and cut, this should be 3/4 of an inch. It is. So we're going to do 3/4 of an inch there. And then this one is 1 and, let's see, that's 1 1/4, 1 3/8, okay? So we're going to cut, let's do our 3/4, let's do 3/4 of an inch. Actually, I could have just left it that way. All right, so we're going to cut off 3/4, and this is at 5 1/2, right? Because it's our envelope. So let's just make sure it's cut at 5 1/2, okay? And then we're going to cut another piece at 1 3/8. So 1 3/8, there's 1 1/4, then it's going to be the second line past that, which is 1 3/8, and we're going to cut that. And those are the pieces that we're going to use on this particular card. And then we're going to save this for something else as well as this. So let's set those aside. And then we are going to take, oh, that's right, we need, no, I've got that. We're going to take the envelope piece that we had left over, and we're going to cut this down to 2 inches, and this will be our inside that we can write our message on. So we're going to cut this down to 2 inches, okay? And then that leaves us another piece that we can use for another card. All right, so let's go over that one more time. We've got our cardstock of 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. We're going to put this in the trimmer and cut off 1 inch, and then we're going to cut a piece of the yellow card base at 2 1/8, which is going to go in here. Go on the front. And then we've got 3/4 of an inch on this and 1 3/8 on this one. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and now put our card together. So let's use our bone folder. Again, we want to give it a good crease. And now we're just going to start building. So we're going to take this piece and we're going to lay this flat from edge to edge. All right, and if it hangs over just a little bit, then just take your paper snips and remove any excess that you see. I'm going to pull in my craft mat, which is a good tool to have in your crafting room. It keeps your adhesive from getting all over the table or whatever it is that you're working on. All right, so we'll take this and we'll go ahead and add this to the top of our card front, and we'll lay it there. We'll have just a little bit of the blue showing through, not much. We'll just give it a little peeky-boo. All right, so let's check that. And I can tell it's probably, I can slide this over just a little bit. And I've got a little bit hanging over. It's probably not that big of a deal, but I'll bring my snips and just snip that little piece off. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is this is the piece that we cut, right? So we're gonna lay that right there and leave a nice border between the two. All right, but before we add that, we want to do our stamping. So on this one, we're going to stamp the flower, and we're gonna do a little bit of stamping off. I gotta find my flower here. Bring in our Night of Navy. And I'm going to do some flowers like in the top right, I'm the bottom right, and then top left corner. And we'll add some leaves to it. So let's stamp, let's see. Let's do about like that. And then this one will come down and we'll do, let's see, which way do I want it to go? Really no way, it's however you want it to look. And we'll do right here. Okay, so we've got that. And now I'm going to take my leaf stamp right here, and we're going to color, we're going to stamp that in our Night of Navy, and then I'm just going to bring this in and stamp it right near the center of the flower. So I'll just put it there, and then we'll do the same thing on this one. I'll have it coming probably right here. So let's do a little like that. Okay. All right, so that just kind of dresses up the inside of your card, the outside of the card. All right, and now we're going to stamp our sentiment that says sending lots of hugs. So again, we're going to take our navy ink, Night of Navy, and we're going to stamp that right in the center. And don't forget, when you're using these photopolymer sets, the ones that are see-through, they don't have any cushion on them like the red rubber ones do. So always make sure you're using something cushiony underneath to help to make sure it's got that extra cushion to give it a good press. If you don't, you may not get a clear image. So you can always purchase one of our paper piercing mats. They're in my online store, and they're not that expensive. I think they're like maybe, I don't know, $6 or something like that. So I think that's probably a good deal to do, unless you have, you know, a cushion thing underneath your workstation, then that's fine. Okay, so let me move my glue out of the way. So I'm going to put this on here, and then we're going to do a little bit of embellishing. And again, I'm going to lay this down flat, and I have, I was doing a class and cutting one of our twines, and it's got hair laying all over the place from the twine. All right, so let me go ahead and add some adhesive to the back of this. I'm using the multi-purpose glue. Whoops. And we'll get that on there. I'm trying to squeeze it so it gets it running here. I think my thing is getting low. There we go. Okay, so let's get this on. I don't like to get this glue on my fingers. It drives me crazy. Okay, so we're just gonna lay this here. We're gonna just make sure it goes edge to edge, and we're just gonna give it a little bit of space between the two. It doesn't have to be exact, just make sure it's straight. All right, so there's the front of our card, okay? And then we're gonna take our white piece that we cut, and we're gonna add that to the inside. And I'm going to stamp. Let's see. No, I'm always here. Oops, I forgot to bring that one in, didn't I? Hold on. I got my stamp set. What did I do with it? I got to grab my other stamp. Wasn't thinking. Hold up, hold up. I'm always here for you. So we'll put that one on here. So we'll put that there. Let's put this back over here. Whoops. All right, so we'll take this one off for a minute and use this block. So let's take that off. Sorry about that. I should have been a little bit better prepared for this. I'm going to put him right like that. All right, so we are going to stamp this in the center. And again, I'm using my Night of Navy. It's off camera, but it's right there. You just want to lightly tap, tap, tap to get enough ink. And the photopolymer, you can see when you've got enough ink on it, right? So I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to stamp that. Make sure I got enough ink again. Huffing on it just moistens the ink, and I'm just going to stamp it right in the center. You can stamp it at the top if it makes it easier for you to write your message. That's fine too. All right, so now we're going to attach this to the inside of the card. But before I do that, I'm going to put this guy at the bottom. And I'm just going to leave a little bit showing, and then we'll add that. This way, this guy's already on here. We've got him in position, and then we can add the piece of white. Now keep in mind that piece of white's from one of the envelopes, right? So again, we're using up everything we can in this kit. All right, so let's go ahead and lay this here, again, edge to edge. I'm just leaving like maybe 1/4 of an inch or 1/8. It's not much, you know. So we want to get that there. All right, and then this, we'll go ahead and add our ink glue to this as well. Daggone, I think it's got glue. It's just decides it doesn't want to come out. It's operator, I'm sure. And let's move some of that down because we don't want to get too much glue and it gets all over everywhere. All right, so we'll take that and we're going to place that right here where there's just a small gap between this. Well, actually, this one's not going to go side to side. So this one's a little shorter, but that's all right. That's fine. And we're going to do it like that. And that's all glued down. And there you go. Now the last thing we want to do is we're going to add some little embellishments to the flowers. So again, since we're using, let me get my bone folder. Since we put this on here, we just want to give it another good crease. Let's put, we're using up a lot of the gold. Now you can put another color if you want. We can do the red. Let's see what that might look like. The yellow is probably going to work better because it's, but it really doesn't matter. Let's go with red. Let's put a little, well, it's what color is this? Oh my goodness gracious. It is the, it's not, oh my goodness, it's not the, I think it's not pecan, I think it's copper clay. But I think that will look pretty. That gives it a little pop there. Instead of putting yellow, we'll just put those little dots. So there you go. So there's another card that we've created. All right, so we're going to put those two off to the side. And then we're coming in with our last card, which I'll show you that one first. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? All right, let's move this out of the way. Okay, so here is our next card, and this is using that card front that we cut off from the previous card, remember? So, and then inside our kit, we have the strip here, and then this for our sentiment. So we're going to stamp some flowers on here, and then we're just going to pull that. We're going to use one of our water painters or our blending pen, and we're just going to pull that ink in. So that actually, yeah, I think this one will work. All right, so that's going to be the front of the card, and then on the inside we just put a piece of white, and again this is part of one of the envelopes that we cut off, and we'll just add that there, and again stamped a flower on the inside. So again, very simple card. So let's bring in our card base, and we've got it already scored at 4 1/4. Now this one is a little not quite going from top to each side, but if I flip it the other way, it actually does. So again, we'll come in with our bone folder and give it a good crease. Okay. All right, so now, and you can change the direction if you want your card to be this horizontal. By all means, you can do that, and this is going to be quite close to it covering the base of your card. Okay, and if you want to have it cut down, which I think it will look nicer, let's cut a little bit off. So we just have a very small border around our card front. So this is cut at, all right, so this is 4 1/4. So let's go ahead and down and just take it down to the 4. So we'll make it like we normally do for the front of a card. We'll put that little piece. We could use that probably for something if we wanted. And then we're going to bring this down to 5 1/4, and that should give us, oh, let's see. Let's do 5 3/8. Let's just see what that looks like. And then if we need to cut a little bit more off, we will. Let's see how that looks. So if we place that on here, we've got a small border going at the top and bottom. Now we need to cut that because it's not even with the other. So let's cut this down to 5 1/4. So we've got 5, and there is 5 1/4, so we'll go ahead and cut that one off. That way all 4 sides should be evenly cut. All right, so before we attach it, we want to stamp our ink, stamp our flowers, and we're going to do the insides that we're going to color. So we're going to bring this in, and I'm going to bring in my paper again, and let's go ahead and stamp. I'm going to stamp. Now I'm going to determine where I want my piece to go, my strip, and I think I want it to go right about here. You know, just it's eyeball, whatever you want to do. So I think I'm going to do that. So I think this one, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this flower up. I'm just turning it around so I can get most of the flower on here. So I think I'll stamp this flower right here. And then I know if I come down, I'll just get a little bit of the flower that will be below, but that will be okay, right? So we'll just bring it down because we don't want them looking like they're sitting right on top of each other. So let's bring it down like that. All right, so that's that. Then we'll come in and we'll bring in our leaf, and we'll just add the leaves to our flower, and just try to find an open spot like right here. Nope, because that's going to be covered up, so we don't want to do that. Sorry about that. So let's say it's going to be right here, right? So let's put the leaves right about here. All right, and then this one, I think we'll put these, let's do it right here. And then this one, I'm just going to stamp a little bit of a leaf coming off the side, just to give it something up there so it's not sitting there looking like it's naked. All right, now we're going to take our blending pen and we're going to grab the center of this glue. Oh, that's not going to work, sorry. I need to get my water pencil. Hang on a minute, let me get that one out. Hopefully I've got some water in it. Yep. All right, so we're just going to take the water pencil and I'm just going to squirt it on the side here just to get it started. We're going to grab that glue and just lightly, all right, there we go. So we're just going to lightly pull this color in so we can get the blue, the ink. So we're going to pull it into the flowers, and just by going over that, it's just going to give us a light color of the blue. And really we want to take it from the inside out to the flower, and that way we can kind of hit the ink around those petals. Okay, so we're just going to kind of give it a watercolor look, and we'll do the same thing here. And this is our water painters is what I'm using. So let me get a little bit more water. You squeeze them and then it lets the water out. So if you start at the center, then you're able to pull that color in to the leaf, okay? And there we go, it's starting to move. And this just kind of gives it a nice little shade. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. So we'll just keep going. And once you get it going, then it does pick up and bring some of the ink with you. Now I'm not going to do the leaves, I'm just going to leave them the way they are and just do the flowers themselves. So again, this is the water painter. We just want to get just a little bit of water on it to bring that blue in. All right, and I think that kind of looks, nice. And we'll leave we're going to leave the leaves as they are, okay? And then when you're done, just run it across your paper, let some of the water out, make sure you get all the color off your bristles before you store it back away. All right, so that's done. So now all we have to do is we're going to go ahead and add our little piece of strip right here. So we'll go ahead and add our adhesive to the back of this. Now this one's going to lay flat, and we'll pop up the sentiment with our dimensional strips or foam strips, whatever you want to call them. All right, and then this one, we're going to have it come in from this side of the card. And we'll bring that in. We'll bring it down just a little bit. We don't want to cover up the entire flower. All right, so we're just going to lay that right there. Okay, doke. And then we're going to do our Forever Friends again. So let me get that stamp. And we'll just borrow this block right here. So I'm going to lay it down, and then I'll just put it on here crooked so that helps me see. All right, so we're going to stamp that right here. Let it sit for a second and then pull it up. And we'll put some dimensional, we'll put a strip on the back of this. And I think that's going to work. We'll just cut this part off or tear it, whichever's easier for you. All right. Okay, and then we're going to take this and we're just going to bring it down slightly below that green. So we'll just lay it right about there. Okay. All right, and then the next thing that we need to do is add this to the front of our card. Pull our using our adhesive, or you can pop it up if you choose to. I'm just going to lay it flat. You just want to be a little conscious, aware of the mailing, because if it gets too bulky, then you may have to pay a little bit extra postage, but you should be fine. All right, so we're going to add this to the front, and again, we should have a small, about 1/8 of an inch border going all the way around. And again, the nice thing about the the multi-purpose liquid glue is it allows you to move it if you need to. All right, so there's that, and then we're going to take our piece from one of the envelopes again, and it's the right size. We're going to stamp one more flower on the inside. Again, we want to make everything look pretty, so we're just going to stamp it right about there. Still gives you plenty of room that you can, and we could have left that on that side. I didn't even see that. That's when we cut it off. And that gives you plenty of room to write your message. All right, and that will be good. Put that here, and you can stamp it in the left corner or the right corner. It doesn't matter, whatever makes you happy, or whichever direction that you like is fine. So let me close this up before I put my fingers in it. All right, so there are our alternative cards. There's 4 of them, so you can come up with however many ideas you want to come up with, right, to make your own cards. So you've got a lot of materials in here that you can use. And let's push this down so we can get it to lay flat. So there are my 4 alternative cards. I'll lay that right there. And you can see what you can do compared to what the kit shows you right there. There's how the kit says to do it. And then this is what we did. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this. Keep in mind that, again, the kits are on sale August of 2023. For this month only, up to 30% off. I would highly encourage you to go in there and try them, and come back in a couple of days. I'm going to do another video on a different kit. All right, thanks again. You can visit my online store. It is in the link below the video. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell so that when I add new videos, you'll be notified of that. And then also, if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you like and subscribe, and if you will, share my videos. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, everyone, thank you so much. If I can help you with anything, let me know. I'm Dawn Duvall with Shall We Stamp, and I will see you next time. Bye now.